Dinosaurs, an apex carnivore of its time. Coming in at 9 meters and up to 4 tons, this large tyrannosaurid specializes in ambush predation, and is a formidable hunter, with a fast gait and a short temper. This male, Beanstalk, is 25 years of age. A fully developed and capable predator on the islands of Gondwa. He travels this dry season with a chance associate, Cress, in what is known to as a dispersal group. These Dinosaurs travel in up to groups of 3, and are anything but friendly with one another. With constant dominance displays fighting for what resources can be found by these nomadic predators, the only downtime is usually found to be had within a hunt. Tyrannosaurus, a close relative of Dinosaur. They are the true apex of Gondwa. Being up to 4 times Dinosaur size, Beanstalk has virtually no chance at defending their kill. He will have to eat and vacate the area quickly, or risk becoming a meal himself. Dinosaurs will frequently initiate dominance displays to either overthrow or re-secure their place as leader of a dispersal. This is not the case here. Cress, a female Dinosaurus, has recently come into sexual maturity. Finding Beanstalk, who is her senior by almost 8 seasons, as her acceptable partner, she begins the courting. Unlike many of Gondwa's inhabitants, Dinosaurus courting is most often initiated by the female. And what is more than that, they usually mate for life. With loud bellows she demonstrates her power, vigor, and worth as a mate. Beanstalk looks on quietly. Beanstalk rumbles softly in interest. With quiet bellows and some gentle physical contact, Beanstalk has shown his receptiveness. This begins the next, and much more dangerous step in Dinosaur's mating process. Just as the life in a dispersal group is filled with fights and displays for dominance, so too do mates try to dominate one another. These fights may occur somewhat frequently early on in the relationship, but will slow down, become less violent, and eventually settle into a fixed hierarchy as the relationship grows. So important is this display of strength to a Dinosaur, that if neither hunters are willing to back down, the relationship will fail. Or, in extreme cases, one may kill and eat the other. A lone Deinonychus has stumbled into the courting displays. While no threat to our adult Dinosaurs, these fights can leave them in a weak and vulnerable state. A interloper in their affair will not be tolerated. Fortunately, the battle is decided quickly and without much bloodshed. Although her senior, Beanstalk, is of a lighter build than his female counterpart, and is quick to back down. There may be more fights for head position down the road, but for now, the matter is settled. Beanstalk and Cress will now move on to the final and most important part of the courting process. A step all living things on our planet strive to take. The passing on of their genetics, and the creation of the next generation. Beanstalk and Cress have reared 2 hatchlings into their world. A male, Fire, and a female, Duck. Gondwa is dangerous, however, and even finding enough food during the trying times of the dry season is not a guarantee. It will take skill, and no small amount of luck, for both hatchlings to make it to adulthood. Dinosaurs are known for having ravenous appetites. Their young take this to an extreme, with a rapid metabolism to promote a fast growth rate. These 2 younglings, a male, dubbed Fire, and a female, Duck, will consume almost half of their own body weight every day. With such a need for food, Beanstalk will take every available opportunity to secure a meal. Whether that means hunting, or poaching a meal off of a smaller and weaker opponent. A Deinonychus has secured an arowana, washed ashore by the strong currents. Far from Dinosaurs' usual diet, this freshwater fish, commonly found in Gondwa's rivers, elicits an enticing aroma of decay. And with the promise of an easier meal, Beanstalk lunges after the opportunity. A Didelphodon nest. If you know where to look, these slow, and easy to catch, small 10-pound burrowing mammals, can be found hiding away in their underground burrows, scattered across the island. Barely being a morsel to Beanstalk and Cress, they make an excellent meal for the freshly hatched Dinosaurs. At Fire and Duck's current size, the meal is easily shared. But as they grow in size, so will their tempers, and their need to dominate the other. These large pools of fresh water, fed by underwater springs, make for a hotbed of activity, and supply some much-needed hydration to the residents of Gondwa. Today, however, it seems that most of the local residents have taken shelter in the surrounding shaded forest elsewhere. Feeling the onset of hunger, Beanstalk chances taking the leftovers for himself. In the height of the dry season, food is known to become scarce. With such a food shortage, every opportunity for a meal may be fought over. That being said, these measly scraps aren't worth the trouble of Beanstalk upsetting the status quo. He is quick to back down. Better to not risk the injury over such a small reward. With its rapid tide changes, Gondwa is known for heaving a bounty of the ocean upon its sand-covered shores. Today, our Dinosaurs, following the stench of rotten food, with their powerful noses, have come across the washed-up, putrid carcass of some of the local sea life. With hunger being a problem this dry season and such a reward on the line, Beanstalk's dominating nature comes into play. With loud bellows and a swift bite, he attempts to claim the carcass as his own. Cress uses her powerful jaws and greater size to her advantage. With swift brutality, she is quick to put him in his place. With a ravenous appetite, Beanstalk is quick to claim the leftovers. With hunger-raising tempers, and perhaps a bit of a bruised ego, Beanstalk doesn't hesitate to exercise his dominance where he can. With full bellies, our family of carnivores take the opportunity to bask. A pastime helpful with digesting large meals. Come nightfall, it will be time to move on from the area. And the young will have to overcome one of their first challenges. A small river, a seemingly insignificant obstacle. Dinosaurs, however, are not born swimmers, and on the mainland are adverse to entering water by nature. The island of Gondwa, however, is crossed with many bodies of water, and as an adaptation, these nomadic predators have become capable, if somewhat ineffective and clumsy, at managing these crossings. That isn't to say that they don't have reservations. The young will frequently have to be coaxed by their parents as they come across these short excursions into water, until it is almost second nature. Exhausted from their first swim, Fire and Duck will rest. But come the dawn, their parents must urge them forward. The search for whatever available food can be found must continue. At what first appears to be another Didelphodon burrow, is actually a stage set for Fire and Duck's first hunt. Under the careful eye of their parents, the area has been scouted and deemed safe from the wandering gaze of predators. With the thrill of their first hunt comes the instinctual drive to claim the food. Duck issues a challenge to her larger brother. This is the beginning of a very important step in young Dinosaurs' lives. With enough food to sustain them both, becoming harder and harder to come by, skills in mock fights will grow with their age and carry over into adulthood, establishing a pecking order between them. As time passes, it is becoming clear that Fire, taking lead in the siblings' mock hunts, and the strongest of the two siblings, is taking a favored role in his parents' eyes. Duck, being the weaker of the two siblings, is at risk of being outed from the group upon reaching adulthood. These spats between siblings become more and more deadly. To prevent serious bodily injury, Beanstalk and Cress intervene. Dinosaurs are most comfortable in groups of 3. Strength, however, is not the only factor at play. With the set hierarchy of a mated pair, there is little room for challenge from children. Should Fire overstep and not take his parents' leadership in hunts or challenges for food, he may be chased out in favor of the more submissive sibling. An Allosaurus has recently hunted a small tyrannosaur. Noting the opportunity for what is perhaps an easy meal, Beanstalk and Cress attempt to intimidate the Allosaur off of the kill. This Allosaurus, however, is one of Gondwa's largest theropod predators and is extremely territorial. Not willing to give up this hard-earned kill so easily, he stands ground, calling back in challenge. A pair, knowing they are perhaps outclassed, deemed a risk-worthy as they engage the lone Allosaur. Beaten and bruised, the pair calls for a retreat. A short time later, another Dinosaur, perhaps drawn in by the sounds of a hunt, announces his presence. Unlike their parents, unrelated Dinosaurs have little problem killing and cannibalizing younglings of their own species. It is far too dangerous to let the stranger stay. With this area being claimed by a local allosaur and a rogue Dinosaur roaming the nearby forests, it would be far too dangerous for the family unit to stay. Once again, it is time for this group of nomads to move on. Another bounty from the ocean. But unlike seasons past, it is the children who risk their mother's wrath. She gives a bellow of challenge, and they are quick to back down, letting them know their place in the pecking order is being under her. Her mate, Beanstalk, is a different matter. With time, the hierarchy has become cemented. Cress, being stationed firmly at the top, no longer feels the need to reinforce her position with her once challenging mate. With a gentle rumble and soft touches, Beanstalk joins her in the meal after affirming his submissiveness. A Suchomimus, a large and slow predator of Gondwa's rivers. Semi-aquatic by nature, it is slow and cumbersome on land. It makes a promising target. Though slowed while on land, its attacks, with its powerful claws, are not to be underestimated. It will require careful treading if this endeavor is to be successful. With her high-powered jaws, Cress delivers a punishing bite, significantly hampering the Suchomimus' already slow movement. their hunt is successful. A takedown of this size will feed themselves and their ever-hungrier young for days. Despite best efforts, not every hatchling will make it to adulthood. A harsh fact of Gondwa's environment. Eat. Or be eaten. As days turn to weeks, turn to months. Fire and Duck have become powerful, adolescent Dinosaurs. With mock hunts, and challenging each other for what food their parents can provide. They sharpen ever-important skills needed for survival as an adult. This seemingly routine challenge, however, will have dire consequences. Drawn in by the scent of blood and the cries of a fight, this concavenator, a small theropod hunter, locks his sights on Duck. Duck, being weakened from the challenge with her older brother, has little chance. With powerful swipes of its razor-sharp claws, this concavenator is quick to finish off Duck. But despite the tragedy befalling Fire's little sister, there is a silver lining. With Fire on the cusp of adulthood, and the removal of his once only competition, Fire has secured what would be his sibling's share of any future resources. And with no one to contest for top sibling, he has a place at his parents' side. Despite the challenges, Beanstalk and Cress have led Fire to the final leg of his journey of youth. Upon adulthood, Fire will stay around and help his parents in hunts, patrolling for new resources, and driving off adversaries. He someday may be outed by his parents to make room for new hatchlings, or maybe he will find a mate of his own. Whatever the case, life will continue to go on in the never-ending story. In the Tales of Gondwa.